Hello everybody, how's it going? Special video for everybody today. You didn't ask for it, but I'm going to make it anyway. What we're going to do is a making of a game of Yogs, sort of Game of Thrones-esque After Effects thing that I've done recently. Obviously, Season 1 seems to have done quite well. I've had a crack at doing Season 2. So yeah, I thought I'd share the process with some of you guys. So obviously, for both, I've been quite clear about. It was made pretty much in After Effects. I've got it open. I've got sort of main composition in here. Lol. I've had to sort of fix a few problems, and I've had to incorporate quite a bit of alpha channels and stuff. And that's what this composition is. It's sort of a mix of all that. So, but before I get too heavily into the After Effects side of it, I just want to show you quickly how I made the assets. Here we are, Photoshop, it's cool. As you can see, it's pretty much all made with Sphax stuff, and obviously if you download Sphax, I'll just you download all the textures. Like, look, here we go. So yeah, here we go, right in the middle. That's a 64 by 64 diamond ore thing, but you know, obviously you really want to make, if you want to make a really big texture of that, like loads of repeating ores, you don't, it's copying and pasting that several times and lining it up is just going to be the bad way to do it. So what I found out to do is, if you go to edit and define pattern, you can define this pattern as like diamond ore, call it whatever you want, but I just call it that anyway. And then you can go to file, new, just for all intents and purposes I'll do 1000 by 1000. Transparent background, it's just what I prefer. So we've got a completely empty layer now, so what we can do then, as we've already defined the diamond ore pattern, we can go to fill, as in fill, not fill, as in me. Anyway, fill using a pattern. You've got loads of options here, but then you've got those little custom ones that I threw in, those are Sphax ones, as you can see. There we go, we've got a diamond ore. And there you go. There's a little diamond ore sort of blanket of stuff. So that's like when you're making a solid thing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But what if you want to make a more custom shape? So what we'll do, we'll just undo that for now and just make a spare layer anyway. So obviously you can see in the main video and stuff, there's those little loads of blocks and stuff, and sort of trying to make a slight fake 3D element, but it's all 2D layers. So what I kind of did for that is a cool little thing I found out interesting, is that it's obviously by importing Photoshop files and stuff. So, but to make it there, you make like a net shape in your Photoshop document. Sort of as an example, and you can be like blah 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 blah. I think that's just filled in with white, so that's cool. But we want to be better than that. So how can we do that better? Using, you know, our patterns and stuff. We can go fill at the top, and we can change it to pattern. Let's use diamond ore again. So it starts on the center, this top corner point here, center point's here. So when you're using a fill pattern with shapes, it starts on this top bit up here, but we'll just do it in the middle just for the sake of it. So what we're going to make a little sort of square thing. Boom, there you go. That sort of pretend that's the top and stuff. But no, we want to make like a net sort of thing. So we'll go. So there we go. That's sort of like a rough cube type shape thing that's going to be. So, but as you can see in some of my other documents, the shapes are more complex, and you know, it's about making a net. So if I quickly find another file for you, so we've got Duncan's Tower here as an example for making a net, and what we did is we put so you got three elements to the tower. You got like a rooftop, a sort of room bit, and then a large sort of tower thing, which I just call like the stem. So each one is divided into groups. So, and we've got the main stem, which is here, which is probably a better example than that's true. So you got the center part, and then each of the walls. So you're thinking like your basic schools and stuff, where you're making that, and then you sort of bring things round the middle and blah blah blah. But the coolest thing about all of this is that obviously is how After Effects interacts with the Photoshop document. So if I just save as just an example, say it was Dunk Tower 2 for all intents and purposes, so I can just show you how this works. Cool. So if I go to After Effects, here we go. That's how Duncan's Tower looks after it's all been manhandled and stuff. But what we'll do is we'll just import this new Duncan's Tower that I brought in. We're not going to use it because we've already done the thing that we want to do. So so we've got sort of options here: composition, retain layer slices. That's what we want. So basically, it's treating that Photoshop file as a little After Effects composition now, which is cool. But because we grouped all those different things, like the roof and stuff, it also treats that as its own composition. So we can go in each one. If we just there we go. We won't use roof actually; it's a bit more fiddly. So if we go back to stem, there we go. It's all there separately compared to the main composition. So we can turn all these 3D. This is how you turn things 3D in After Effects, and we can just be like change the rotations and stuff. Be like, blah. There you go. It's starting to become some weird propeller thing instead. So well, we'll just leave it at that. So and we can sort of switch on to 2 views. So that's the active camera. Just be like whatever, but we can do a sort of just investigate how it looks here. There we go, custom view. Little spin around there. Which is cool. And if we go here, there we go. Go to 2 view again. The weird thing is like the way it's handling this. Normally you'd have to, if you didn't put it in groups in Photoshop, you'd have to make each bit as its own separate Photoshop file. But this sort of just made the process a bit easy to work. So. And do a custom view over here. So obviously this is inside another composition and you can still be all 3D about it. When it comes to the main composition, you kind of still have to copy layers across and stuff, but it's very good for previewing how it's all going to look. So there we go, spin around. You spin me red, red. Okay, so that's pretty much how I made most of the assets in Photoshop and brought them across. Another cool thing I meant to mention about the using shape layers from Photoshop and bringing it along into After Effects is the fact that it treats it as a mask in a way. So if I go onto the front, you can zoom in on this layer. There we go. We're looking at this from the front angle. But what's really cool is that obviously it's still treating it as an interactive shape, and we can change the shape should we need to in After Effects. I mean, we do at some point. So. But as you can see, it's still keeping the fill. All still relative to where it is on the thing. So like, there you go. Still cool. So yeah, that's probably one of the sort of great things I found about making the assets is still being able to play around the shape in After Effects and still just being pretty cool to work with. So there's that one. So here we are in After Effects. Like I said earlier, we've had to sort of separate loads of stuff into alpha channels, and this was to fix quite a few problems. As you can, I'll probably show on screen how in the first one was just a straight render of, like if I go to this composition here, it was a straight render of just multiple compositions just shoved together and stuff. Which I'll do that a little bit again, but as I was just saying, I had problems where, because what I'm doing, I'm using 2D layers in a 3D space, and if I show you one of my actual compositions, this is probably, some people might find this daunting, because what I've done, I've chose to work on a sort of canvas, as it were. So I work on a composition that's like 4,000 by 4,000 pixels. So here we are in New Ink. It's slightly, that's what I've just as in New Honeydew Ink. This is the second version, as it were. So I've got my 4,000 by 4,000 composition, but sort of make things easier, I've still got like a region of interest, which is sort of what's going to be sent over to my main composition and stuff. But it sort of gave me a larger palette to work on. Here we are. We've got, see this line here? That's sort of the world line. That's like the main bottom floor map and the animated water. As you can see, you've got bits intersecting it all where things are rising up, and I found out with the first version I didn't really properly see till the final export, but I kind of thought screw it, and left it because it's done for fun. Where the camera was intersecting in this with like depth of field and out of focus, it was just making a horrible blurry line, which is kind of lame. And yeah, that's that. So I had to fix that somehow. And basically I had to return sort of my core skills of like knowing about compositing. So once I'd done all my animating and everything, I had to bring things onto, like, here's how I worked before with the compositions and stuff. So I've got like New Hink and New Owl Island, which has got Owl Island, Shin's Farm, and everything else in the background. Whilst New Hink focuses on Duncan's Castle and Honeydew Ink, obviously. So when it came to exporting, I had to sort of export this in layers. And so if we go over here, there's a couple of odd things and stuff. But we've got sky layers. I had to sort of fix a couple of things and so on. So it's like multiple layers here. So that's the sky background. Then we got the map. The map's on its own separate layer. Lands is all the little bits sticking out the ground. I chose to put some more in, so it just adds a bit of depth to everything. As blocky as it is, but fuck it, you know. Land Owl. So you got Land Hink and Land New Owl there. And then for New Owl, I had to do things a bit differently because there's lots of more assets in the go. So we got all the foreground, which is like Owl Island, Shin's Farm and stuff, and Sipsco was keeping all landscape separate and everything. Everything was exported as a PNG sequence because my hard drive couldn't handle the most maximum load because I don't have enough space. That would be like fucking gigs and gigs and gigs. So it's a bit of compression, but you know what? By the time everything goes to YouTube, it'll be fine. So obviously, just to show you how everything's sort of laid up, that's the foreground gone. Here's the background. So if I find a shot where there we go, you see Duncan's Castle there, and it's gone. And there's a cool way to sort of do this, because normally if you just did straight render, you get Duncan's Castle not just stuck there, which is lame. But there's a cool way I'll fix that, which I'll show you in a second. So maybe I would just turn all the skies off, try to find the right one. There you go. This is that sky. And so if I pop this on, you can still see the transparent background and stuff. So yeah. But you know, as I said before, we had to sort of cut things out, and basically, because everything's intersecting, you don't want to show what's underneath the map, because you know I don't render the map in every single one, because that would just be like a waste of time really. So what I found out was this cool technique. We'll just try and find a layer. So I had to hide Duncan's Castle, and basically it's a cool technique where I just put like the landscape on for everything and stuff, but I'm not actually rendering the landscapes. So we show here, you got these little blocks on the go, because the sky is just sky, but it's not rendering where the landscape is, and that's where special modes are. So if you click on modes, you got those little cool things. This is exactly what you got in Photoshop, all these normal land to luminosity, the core one to multiply, screen, and overlay. But you've also got these extra little things there, which is specific to After Effects. And the one that I found useful that cuts things out is Silhouette Alpha. So yeah, one core example I had to do for this was to do with Shin's Farm. Especially as you can see, like the main thing, it's a really cool sweeping angle and everything. I'll show up. Where I come around the corner, and obviously I need Shin's Farm still there, but I don't want to rotoscope it because that's just a lot of hassle. Needless hassle like that. But obviously using Stencil, Silhouette Alpha, sorry. So obviously using Silhouette Alpha, I could sort of cut it out. So, as I'm showing you this cool little mini loop here, this is what that badass camera angle that I threw in. And you can sort of see how the stencil had, you got it cutting out the sky, but more importantly, cutting out Shin's Farm. So that is still there, like all the way through. You see how it just appears, because that tree that's in the foreground just cuts out. Boom, it's done. Obviously, if we just go by frame just to slow that down a bit. Yeah, start of it trying to come through. See a line that's cutting through. Oh, I'm like pointing at the screen here, but obviously you can't see my hand. There you go, and fully revealed. And we'll do a little overlay to show as a comparison of how that looks. That's cool. So that's a little thing I had to do for cutting things out, and it works. I had to do it for like literally all the layers I had on the go. So see, I think one of the most noticeable ones is obviously look at Owl Island from season 1 and season 2. How you see how like the bottom of the trees just look, it's this horrible blurry white stuff, but then look at it again on season 2, it's just gone, and it's cool. And that's all done through the power of compositing. So yeah, that's cool. So like, you see all these landscape trees, they carry on quite a bit underneath the ground. So obviously, if you get used to After Effects, you'll probably know that pretty much the basics of how I sort of animated it all, pretty much rotations, positions, and all that stuff. A couple of cool effects I had on the go, like Duncan's castle. I had to use track mats. So for example, like Duncan's tower, how I had to put that taint effect in. It's sort of how I've got the core tower here. You can probably see. Let's just move this over a bit. There we go. But I doubled up a layer on top of taint. Sort of thing I got, and I sort of have that animated in with burn film effects sort of thing, because why not? But each one of these has its own sort of taint sort of thing on top, so that helps that obviously still mask it in and stuff. One of the final things I just want to run through, it's probably one of the more cool aspects I think about it all, is the fact that all the water is animated this time and not just flat. In addition, I've also done it with taint. It's kind of harder to notice, you have to really look at it, because that is an animated texture. But so obviously if you play Minecraft, you see all the water is animated and stuff, and a little bit of research into it, and obviously when you look at your texture pack, you got like a one big very long thing for animated water, and that's because for each sort of bit, let's say you're doing 64 by 64, for each one that's one frame, as you can see it, and animated water runs at 32 frames per second. So to figure it all out, I've got like 64 by 64 composition, and for each frame is a different part of the 64, which is cool. But the annoying thing is, if you pop this onto another layer, basically I needed to make it bigger because I can't just have 64 by 64, and it's a cool effect called Reptile. So I can make that bigger, make it a lot bigger, and this is sort of just standard 16 by 9 sort of thing. So I think this composition, if we have a look, so if we go look at the main one again, we go composition settings, you can see here 32 frames per second, and just check out this one, composition settings, also at 32 frames per second. But say obviously we're working on like a main like 29.97, but you do that, so we've got this one which is about like 29.97, and it looks kind of shit and horrible, because if we pause it, I'm trying to find it, because it's running at a different frame rate, it's making an imaginary line because it's not matching up properly. So we've got compositions running at 32 and done with making it bigger and everything, and what we do is we pretty much export that as is, which is cool. I mean, so obviously you got a 32 frames per second video clip, and what we do, we go back into the main, the main After Effects file. Okay, I apparently exported several versions, where I've got a 128 version, which is what, just 2 up. And we've got water big, and this is sort of the lifesaver thing, because obviously again I use Reptile to sort of make the sea layer, so I've got that thing, but doing 128 by 128 and making that really big, it's just not render efficient. It's trying to make up more pixels, that like twice as much, but instead I did a 2000 by 2000 to 2048 one, so it's a big square. There we go, that's all Reptiled out. But the cool thing, this is still running, let's see, animated water. That's still 32 frames per second, but because that's treating it as a video clip now, not as a composition, if you pop it back into a 30-second or 30 frames per second thing, you don't get these horrible imaginary shitty squares. They're completely gone basically. So obviously make it really big, and then obviously go on to the main compositions, and we've got animated water big down here at the bottom. Effect controls, reptile again, but doing it like 6,000 and shit like that. So it'll take silhouettes alpha off. This was used my layer for cutting out everything. So that was below ground. Normal. There we go. And a large amount of water that is now animated. And I think it adds just so much to the file, well, to the movie, to the intro sequence. Yeah, it just looks a lot shit tons better. So. And I'm pretty proud of making it all work, so it's pretty cool. And okay, so there you go. That's the making of quite a few elements of the game of Yogs sequence stuff. Lots of compositing, some cool asset making, animated textures, and who knows, maybe I'll do more in the future. There we go. So hope you enjoyed that, and goodbye. See you later.